So we're going to start a new unit on parallel lines. And what we want to do is we want to find out the relationship between parallel lines and the angles that are formed. But first, before we do that, let's talk about different angle pairs that are formed when you have a line, which is called a transversal. Trans means to go across. Transversal. So a transversal is a line that intersects two or more other lines. Not at any particular angle, it just intersects with two or more lines. So you can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, however many a transversal can cut across that many lines. Well, what happens when the transversal cuts across is it creates these angles. And you can see here you've got angle 1, 2, angle 3, angle 4. And remember that the angle is this space that's covered, imagine like a sprinkler system, right? It's this rotation here in between those two lines. So all of those are angles. We have what's called interior angles and exterior angles. Interior angles lie in between the two lines that the transversal cut across, or the multiple lines that the transversal cut across. And then exterior is outside of those two lines. So that you can see that 1 and 2 and 7 and 8 are exterior, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all interior angles. So we have 4 angle pairs that we're going to focus on, and then we're also going to add vertical angles and linear pairs that we learned from the first unit. So corresponding angles, what you want to do is you want to get to where you can start to recognize corresponding angles. So corresponding angles, one is interior, one is exterior, and they're on different vertices, but they share the same side of the transversal. Okay, so it's a lot of words. So I mean, one is in this yellow zone, one is in this green zone. So we can see that one is interior, 2 is exterior. And then on different vertices, so angle 1 is on this vertex, and this vertex right here, and angle 2 is on this vertex. But notice that they travel along this transversal, right? They travel along the transversal, and they're on the same side. So one of the things that you'll start to recognize is that angles that are corresponding form this F. We can see here 2 is exterior, 1 is interior. They're at two different vertices, and they're on the same side of the transversal. 2 is exterior, 1 is interior. They form that backwards F. Here we've got 1 is exterior and 2 is interior. Okay, so one's in, one's out. They are on different vertices, so they're not adjacent and they're not opposite of each other, and they're on the same side of the transversal. So those are corresponding, and they look like an F. Alternate interior angles, both are interior. They're on different vertices, and they're on different sides of the transversal. Alternate. So alternate interior, there are your clues. They're on alternating sides of the transversal, and they are interior. So we can see where our interior angles are in each one of these pictures. Interior means to be in between the two lines that we're looking at. So all of those are interior angles. And if we look at what this looks like, so we have 3 is on the right side. If I trace the sides that form 3, and then I trace the sides that form 4, I can see that we've got these alternate interior angles. Now, notice that there's no particular relationship with how these lines cross, but you have the one transversal and the 2 that go the same direction. Or you can see there's one line that cuts across the other 2 lines. Now you'll notice all of these alternate interior angles, they form this Z, right? They are the interior corners of the Z. That's where your alternate interior angles are. That's where your corresponding angles are. So a third pair of angles are called same side interior. So they have to be interior, but they have to be on the same side of the transversal. So if we trace 5 and then we trace 6, we can see those are on the same side of the transversal. So all we're talking about today is location. We've got 6 is interior, 5 is interior. Again, 5 and 6 are both interior here. And if you notice, they form a C. Okay, it could be turned on its side too, so they kind of form a U. And then we've got alternate exterior angles, but what's important is those interiors. See, they're both on the inside. They're on the inside of that C, and they're both on the same side. Then we have alternate. There's your clue. The names tell you what they are. The only one that doesn't really tell you where they are is corresponding. So if you just learn that one, the rest of them tell you where they are. Alternate exterior angles. So we need to choose from our exterior angles. So I have one, okay, and then they're both exterior, they're on different vertices, and they're on different sides of the transversal. Now, that's important because 1 and 2, angle 1 and angle 2, they share that vertex, but they are called a linear pair. So when you've got those two, when they share a vertex, like 1 and 2 share that vertex, that green dot right there, they're a linear pair. So they have to be on different vertices. So 1 is up on the top, 4 is down on the bottom. We also in this picture have another set of alternate exterior. 2 is alternate exterior with 3. The same thing here. I have 1 is alternate exterior with 4. And 3 is alternate exterior with 2. They're on alternating sides of this transversal right here. Here's your transversal. They're on alternating sides of your transversal. Let me go back and let's do this. You look, here's your transversal, right? That's your crossing line. That's the one that everything is working, sliding up and down along those lines. So that's the transversal. It cuts across those other two lines. So let's look when we have multiple lines, because this can get a little confusing, but you can have multiple lines. See, you could have this is interior between these two lines, right? But then you could also have, what if I'm talking about the outside two lines, the first and the third line? Then all of those are interior if you're talking about this line, this and this line along that one transversal, right? This transversal that cuts across them. So interior depends on which angles or which lines you're talking about. So I want alternate interior angles. So I'm looking at 3. So here's 3. Let's highlight our transversal. I think that colors are very useful here. There's our transversal. So we have 3 and we want alternate interior. Okay, so alternate interior. So let's just go with these first two lines. Let's highlight them in green. Let's go with these first two lines. Then alternate interior, so it has to be in between those two green lines. They have to be on alternating sides of that red line. So that would be 3 and 6. We're looking for that Z. So 3 and 6 are alternate interior. Now, if I use my other two lines, let's use this line and this line, my two pink lines. Ignore the green line, pretend it's not even there. So we still have our angle 3. So we have our angle 3 that was already highlighted because we're using that. So we want the alternate side, so we have to go the other side. So remember, we're ignoring 5, 6, 7, and 8 right now. We're just looking at 3, 4, 9, and 10. So the other one that's on the alternate, so 4 is alternate and 10 is alternate. But 4 is touching 3, so it has to be 10 because they can't touch. With these 4 angle types, none of them touch, so it would be angle 10. Okay, so let's go back. Let's look at it again. Let's highlight our transversal. Here's my transversal, and I want to focus on first these two lines in blue. So let's focus on these two lines. We're going to ignore 9, 10, 11, and 12. So if I do angle 2, so here's angle 2, and I want alternate exterior. So remember, we're ignoring 9, 10, 11, and 12, alternate exterior. 1 is exterior, 7 and 8 are exterior, but we need to be on the alternate side. 1 is touching 2, so it has to be 7. So 2 and 7 are alternate exterior. Okay, so now let's ignore, now we want to move out and go away because that's the only other one and we want to pick another one. So now let's ignore 5, 6, 7, and 8 and let's look and see which one's alternate. So now we have 1, 2, 11, and 12 are exterior. 12's on the same side. 1 is touching it, so that leaves 11 to be alternate exterior. Okay. So now let's go back. Let's look at just our transversal again. Now we want to do 3. So 3 is along this line. Let's start with these two lines that are close together. I want same side interior. So here's 3. If we highlight angle 3, here's angle 3. It's interior. We want to be on the same side. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all interior between those two pink lines. But 5 is the only one that's on the same side of the red line. So the same side of the red line would be 3 and 5. Okay, so then if you go in and we don't want to look at that middle line anymore, we want to look at this outside line. We still have angle 3. So angle 3, we want same side interior with angle 3. We have 3, 4, 9, and 10 are interior. And so we want to pick same side interior. So same side is the same side of the transversal. So the same side of the red line. So that would be 3 and 9. Okay, so those are our same side interior. They're on the same side of the transversal, which means you need to find the transversal. And then they are on the same side and they're both interior. Okay, so now let's look at corresponding. So corresponding, let's go back. We're going to look, our two green lines are crossed by that transversal of the red line. So let's look at angle 4. We want corresponding angles. If you look back, corresponding angles. One is in, one is out, and they're on the same side, and they're not touching. So 2 is touching 4, it's out. 6 is interior, and 4 is interior, so we can't use 6, so it would have to be 8, and we're also looking to form that F. All right, so we're looking at this angle and this angle right here. So 4 and 8 are corresponding angles of those two lines. Now, if we switch and we take out that angle and we look at the other side, so look at just these two green lines, ignore the line in the middle, just look at those two corresponding. They need to be one in and one out. This is the only one you really have to memorize because it doesn't tell you. But here's what it means, corresponding. Corresponding means they're in the same location. Look at where 4 is. 4 is in the bottom right-hand corner of 1, 3, 2, and 4. So if you slide down and you look at the other plus formed by 9, 11, 10, and 12, then notice that 12 is in the same location, the corresponding location as 4. So that's why those are called corresponding angles. Okay, so they are in the same location of their own individual plus signs. They're little pluses that are formed by those intersecting lines. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Let's get some practice finding them. So I want to look at angle 1 and angle 2. So here's angle 1 and here's angle 2. If I trace the whole lines that are formed by them, angle 1 and angle 2, and 2 is an extension of this line right here. So we're looking at this angle and we're looking at this angle. Again, highlighters are really good in this case. So the question is, what is the transversal? So remember, the transversal is the one line that touches the two lines or more lines. So BC has to be the transversal because it's the one that's touching both lines. The other two lines, we have AB and CD. It doesn't matter what order you name them in or what order you use the letters in. Now let's look at 1 and 2. So they're on alternating sides of the transversal and they are both in between those two lines. They're interior, so they are alternate interior angles. Now I realize this is hard for y'all to do. You can't erase this, but it makes it easier for you to see. Let's look at 6. So I'm going to trace the lines that form 6. And I'm going to trace the lines that form 4. I'm going to extend all the way out so I have the whole thing. Okay, your transversal, you're looking for the one line that touches both of the other two. So your transversal is AD. Your two other lines are AB and CD. Again, it won't always be that way. And then you look at what we're talking about. Here's 6 and here's 4. Okay, notice they're both interior. They're both on the same side of the transversal. So those are same side interior angles. Same side interior angles. Okay, so 4 and 2. So here's angle 4, and here's angle 2. Okay, so now we want to name our transversal. The transversal is the one line that touches the other two lines. So this time CD is the transversal. And then AD and BC are the two lines. So we want to see how are these two related. So we're talking about 4 and 2. Notice that they're both on the right-hand side of their little two-piece angles. So they are corresponding. Those are the ones that you have to memorize because they don't follow a name. One is in and one is out. Okay, so if one is in and one is out, then that's always corresponding because alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, they're both in the same place. So that's kind of a good hint to where to look and what to call them. Okay, 1 and 3. Here's angle 1. We're going to trace angle 1, all of it. We're going to trace angle 3, all of it. Let's color it in. This is what we're talking about, angle 1 and angle 3. So the one line that touches both of the other two lines are BC. The other two lines are AB and CD. And notice they're on the same side of BC, so they're interior. So they're on the same side and they're both interior, so that's same side interior. Okay, so this is really beneficial. Get some highlighters. You need those highlighters. They're very helpful here. 5 and 3, so we're going to trace 5. We're going to trace 3. Now, technically, 5, if you're using that little piece, it actually extends. It's one big long line. Okay, so the one transversal would be CD. That's the one that's touching the other two. The other two are AD and BC. And we're looking at 5 right here and 3 right here. So notice one is in and one is out. Instantly, you should know that's corresponding. And you'll learn these. This is a really short lesson. And so really, I mean, these are the words we're going to use through the entire lesson. Last one, let's look at what we've got. So 6 and 5. So we have 6 here. So we trace 6. So here's angle 6. And we trace 5. Now remember 5, the lines that form 5 extend all the way out, but here's angle 5. Okay, so you can see you've got one line that cuts across two lines. The one line that cuts across is AD. And the two lines that are crossed, AB and CD. Notice that when you look at the transversal, they're both interior and they're on alternate sides of the transversal, and so those are alternate interior angles. Okay, so you've got your 4. You've got your alternate exterior angles. Remember, they don't touch. They're on alternating sides of the transversal and they're exterior. You've got your same side interior. They're on the same side of the transversal and they're both interior. Where your alternate interior angles, they're on alternating sides of the transversal and they're both interior. And then your corresponding angles, they're on the same side of the transversal, but one is interior and one is exterior. So it's really important that you know how to find the transversal so that you can know where to locate those angles.